Mr. Zurab Girchi Japaridze, politician and the founder of Girchi More Freedom Party, welcome to Georgia Today interview.
Thank you for the invitation.
Another wave of protests and unrest you announced last week. What do you expect from this attempt, and what makes you believe that people will join you this time?
What I believe is that we have a government that has rigged the elections, last 3 elections at least, and it was proved now with the documents that were provided to a number of NGOs and diplomatic missions in Georgia by the former deputy head of Special Security Services, Girchi, and it's thousands of pages of materials. When you have a government that has rigged the elections and they have no legitimacy, I believe that it's an obligation for every citizen not to obey to such a government and to basically sabotage this government or actions of this government, and to do your best to get rid of this government as soon as possible. So that's why I said that the aim now is to achieve snap elections as soon as possible, by all means possible. And when I say by all means, I mean, of course, non-violent means.
Don't you think that waiting for that final decision of the European Union would create more solid ground for you and for the opposition to start protesting?
I believe that there is no way that this government will say no to the power they have. I don't think that even in the political circles in the European Union, anyone actually believes that Ivanishvili will de-oligarchize himself. This is just silly. Nobody's that stupid. So what's going to happen is that end of this year, EU will do evaluation, and it is highly likely that Ukraine and Moldova will get to the next step. They will open the negotiations about becoming the member of the European Union, which is the next step from becoming a candidate. And there will be no for us again. And we've already seen the evaluation of the European Union. Maybe we've seen it also about the implementation of this association agreement. And we see that they see lots of shortcomings. And again, it comes to the elections, it comes to the judiciary system, to the election procedures for the general prosecutor, to the abolishment of this state inspection service, to the violation of rights of LGBT community, etc., etc. There's a list there. So which means that we will get no, and Moldova and Ukraine will be like 2 steps forward compared to us. So either we achieve snap elections before that, or we will go to 2024 parliamentary elections. Another thing why I think waiting is wrong is that we have a window of opportunity right now, and it was created by Ukrainians. There's a chance of moving towards so-called Euro-Atlantic integration with a fast pace. And we don't know what's going to happen. I don't believe that if we don't fight for our freedom, that somebody will grant a freedom to us.
Didn't we fight enough?
Yes, I think so, but
to make them wait for us.
Nobody's gonna pay pensions for past deeds. So whatever we did in the past, it matters, but it's not that important now. They need to see, the West waits now to see whether we want freedom or not, actually now, today, at this time.
Can you name a single point from these 12-point recommendations which says the opposition has to start protest, and this is the key way to the...
You will never find this kind of wordings in recommendations.
Then how come you understood that absolutely clear text other way?
No. I'm not saying that Europeans or US is expecting like this type of protest or that type of protest. I don't need any recommendation or instruction coming from the West for that. It's my right to protect my rights, actually my specific right to change the government by voting. What Ivanishvili is trying to achieve is basically to make Georgian citizens believe that nothing makes any sense. And once we show, and this is kind of a test that we as a society have developed, have moved forward, that we can change even this kind of corrupt and illegitimate government by civilized means, by elections, then we will get a status of the candidate, and then we will move forward with a fast pace towards the European or Euro-Atlantic integration.
Don't you think that your protesting waves are predestined to fail unless the US or the EU sanction Ivanishvili?
I don't believe that sanctions gonna right away put an end to this system of government that we have now. I believe that sanctions are important. Sanctions might help us in terms of creating some problems inside the ruling party, because, for example, if you sanction some judge, for example, some corrupt judge who made a political decision, this might create problems inside the political party, ruling political party. But I don't believe that if the sanctions are announced or put on some GD leaders, or including Ivanishvili, this regime is going to collapse right away. No, I don't believe that. There are lots of sanctions against Putin's Russia right now, but the system has not collapsed yet. We need to act here. It's our duty. This is how I see it. It's my duty in the eyes of my children, my future grandchildren. I need to do whatever possible myself, because I myself took this responsibility when about 10 years ago I said that I will be involved in politics. So it's for me, it's kind of an obligation.
Since the EU gave us the 12-point recommendations, Parliament again became the center of attention. Would you leave the Parliament if you knew at that time that you'd have a chance to be part of this historical process?
Sure, it would have a chance of becoming a historical process if there was a 1% chance that they will be successful and we will get the status of the candidate for becoming a member of European Union. But there is not even a chance of 1%. So I don't think it's as a historical. I was not supporting the boycott initially, or at least my position was that we need to discuss it. But basically all the opposition parties that night agreed that we need to boycott, and there should be unity, and it will be a leverage in our hands, which is understandable, and I believe in that.
And out of nowhere, they did not follow.
Yeah, but I mean, when they don't do that, doesn't mean that I should follow that. And then there were these negotiations, and on that negotiations, when we signed this agreement, on my side, there was only one obligation, that I should enter the parliament. On the other side, there were a number of obligations that the political prisoners should be released, and then certain reforms should be done. But once they released those two people, they have not done anything, and then they annulled this agreement. So if they don't implement whatever is written there, then I said that, okay, then I'm not doing my part. So this is why I left. For me, what's important is that people should trust me when I say that I will do this. They should expect that I will do this. I might change my mind, but if I change my mind, I should explain why I did this and why I did it. But this time, I don't think I had any arguments because I was out. Then I signed an agreement. The agreement was not implemented, so I should stay out. This is how I see it.
The president of Georgia, Saakashvili, revoked the visa requirement for Russians. But you didn't leave the party or call them pro-Russians. Isn't that double standard calling the ruling party pro-Russian for letting Russians visit the country?
Well, I wasn't a member of the UNM when Saakashvili revoked the visa regime, even though I support that idea. What is the problem with lots of Russians coming to Georgia? And there are a number of dimensions. One is a human rights dimension, the other one is economic dimension, and the other one is a security dimension. So if you look at this situation from the human rights perspective, I'm against, and I've always been against, of some kind of a collective responsibility. So just saying that, we don't want to let people in just because they are ethnically Russian or because they are citizens of Russia, for me, it's unacceptable. The second thing is economic dimension. And I've read a number of posts on Facebook, some people using some kind of a crazy economic logic, trying to prove that it's bad for Georgia or citizens of Georgia, which is stupid. From economic perspective, it's only good for Georgia. And then there is a security dimension, which I understand. And I think there is a serious security threat. We've seen what happened in Ukraine. When Russia started the war, there were hundreds and thousands of people discovered by Ukrainian security services who entered Ukraine several months before the war started. They rented some apartments, and they started some sabotage, and these were like a diversion groups, etc., etc. Visa regime or any of this kind of leverage, another additional leverage in the hands of this government, will be used against those citizens of Russia who have some problems in Russia because they went public, they criticize the government, or they're members of some parties or some NGOs, human rights NGOs, etc. But those citizens of Russia who might actually create some problems for Georgian security, they will be just let in as they are right now. So the problem is not with whether we have a visa regime or not, but the problem is that we have this government which basically destroyed the Georgian security and any security system for the state.
Mr. Zurab Girchi Japaridze, it was my pleasure to have an interview with you.
Thank you very
Wish
much.
you the best of luck.
Thank you.